Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee. And today, my guest is a DMV-based digital content creator and cosplayer. It's about that time, folks. Please welcome Shady Haze. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, what's up, squad? I'm so glad I'm here and talking to you, and it's gonna be like a fun episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that, and I say it's that time because we're approaching the summertime, the convention season. We have certain cons that are coming up. We'll talk a little bit about. But I wanted to start off with those vital stats for you. What's your background? Like, really introduce yourself. I gave the cut and paste. I want you to really get into the weeds, describe who you are, and in there, tell us about your connection with cosplay and AwesomeCon.
Sure. So I've been cosplaying for a couple of years now. I really got serious into it maybe last year and this year, just because, with the pandemic, it was hard to create content at home. But I learned how to, take photos at home, how to edit, how to video, like things that a digital content creator is trying to, elevate their skill set. So I've been cosplaying for a couple of years now. I went to conventions back in 2018, which I loved going to DMV-based conventions. So that being BlurredCon, there was All-Star Comic Con, AwesomeCon. So all my first cons that I've been to, like, and Katsucon too, was in 2018. So meeting new friends, staying in touch with them, and actually creating my own squad that I call like Shady Squad, and we go to conventions together, we cosplay together, and I've been a nerd since birth. So my first introduction to the nerd like world is, I feel like a lot of like 90s babies say this, but it was like the Fox Kids lineup. So Power Rangers, Pokemon, X-Men, the anime series. But I never like actually got into cosplay, not until like when I went to cons in 2018, because it was more of cosplay wasn't around when I was like a kid and in college. But when I stumbled upon AwesomeCon in 2018, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, and it's awesome. Let me like check this out. Let me cosplay. I'll buy something online. I'll like, connect with new friends. And I just had a blast. Like, it was so much fun. And now I'm a guest. So it's like a full circle of, staying connected with people. And I love making those relationships with people from AwesomeCon and people in cons in general. I love connecting with new people. I love collaborating with them as well. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a ride, but it's so much fun to grow in these creative spaces, whether it's digitally or it's, in person.
So thank you for sharing that, and I definitely relate. I was looking at some, like, I'll get on one of these streaming sites, and I found some old cartoons that I looked at back in the day, and I was like, yeah, man, that might be an idea right here. I mean,
yes.
for me, it's always a challenge because I'm 6'4", so it's like, all right, where am I going to get this material? Do they have drapes? How am I going to fashion this?
You'll find something, because I'm 5'2" and I'm small, so you know what? You'll find something. When I look at costumes, I always I don't know how to sew, and that's a skill set I want to learn this year, and that's like on my to-do list, because I make my props. So I make my props, whether it's 3D printed or foam. Those are my two like specialties that I focus on, and I do a lot of freehand. So like if I see something, like, okay, let me freehand this and make it as a design. But I want to learn how to sew, because most of my costumes, like my spandex costume, or it's been sewed, I either have a friend help me sew it so I can learn, or I get it like sponsored by Print Costume, which they do custom measurements. So you can get your costume there.
Noted.
You give your measurements, everything from head to toe. So it fits perfectly.
Good to know. Good to know. You see, like look, I'm going to dress as a bear. I'm just going to put like the fur on. It's like, no, my go-to is probably, I want to be Marvin from Sin City. Just full trench coat. Yeah.
Yes.
Or it's a little on the nose, but my beard grows in that way, so that's a prop in itself. I want to be was jet black. That is always a go-to for me.
Oh yes, do it. You know what? I'm for it. I have friends who want to do like a nostalgia, like cosplays, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
and it's so expensive. But I'm like, you know what? You only live once. Go invest in it. Do it. I want to do my dream cosplay is Pink Ranger, and that's something I'm probably gonna do in the fall or winter because it's con season is all year round, but when it's summertime, you are going to be dehydrated in cosplay in the summer. So I'm like, okay, let me think of cosplays that are summer friendly. And being Pink Ranger is not going to be summer friendly because I will melt in the suit and in the helmet.
Yeah, and I got a question in a very general level that I'm going to ask you in a second, but I do a movie review podcast, and one of the movies that I did recently was RoboCop from 1987.
Nice.
And they were talking about how many calories, how much sweat Peter Weller was losing. So definitely, I get that. That notion of like, look, this has to be heat, summer friendly. I think he was losing 3 pounds of sweat per day, and it's just like you can't maintain that.
Yes, it is. It's not hard, but you do whatever. When we cosplayers, we always say like we do whatever it takes for the video, for the photo, and then we'll strip down all of our costumes and dress in regular clothing because you want that perfect photo or that cinematography photo or video.
Yeah, and going to the conventions, I've probably gone to conventions, Baltimore Comic Con, Awesome Comic Con, Awesome Con, and Blurred Con over the last, let's say, 5 years between those groups. And one of the things that always gets me is just seeing people when they commit to it. It's like, look, you're not just in the costume, you're in character, and just seeing people that go for it. I love that. So, which brings me to my next question, and this is very macroly speaking. What does cosplay mean to you?
So, cosplay means to me not just the definition of it, like people, costume play, they like dress up and they're in character. For me, I look at the term cosplay and just cosplay in general is channeling your favorite character or your favorite hero or someone in the fictional world that you admire and bringing it to life and having fun with it. That's all it's about in the community. There's obviously in every community or every hobby that has, negatives and positives, but being in cosplay, being able to embody your favorite heroes, your favorite villains, your favorite like cartoon characters, or maybe favorite action star, it's so much fun because you have that process of, oh, I get to play this character. I get to, take photos. I get to take videos, and I also get to do it with my friends, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's community, and I feel like the way I'll put it, and I think. And I had one I feel like it was a couple years back. It may have been like the end of Game of Thrones. And I remember taking a picture. I was really on this wave of taking this head extended pose, like I'm looking off in the distance. And it was a group of people dressed in full like Stark cosplay. And I took a picture with them. I was like, this is amazing. And it's rare that I write, but I felt compelled to write a blog about that, and part of it was my Awesome Con experience that took up a nice chunk of it. It made me feel like I was within an audience and felt like an audience, but also felt like I was part of a family in a way.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, we're all here living in our geekdom and having a great time and just really being able to appreciate the effort and the creativity that's put forth in it. So tell me about your approach to cosplay. Do you plan on a calendar of looks, themes, and how does it align with those convention when convention season is coming up? And I know you touched on the, what works in the summer, but tell us in general terms.
Yeah. So with the cosplay season, last year, there was a couple of conventions coming back with, certain mandates and policies. But this year, I call it revenge of the cons and revenge of traveling. And people are just, they're eager to travel to cons. They're eager to go to local cons. They're eager to spend money on costumes and building, and that's a lot of supply and demand. So some the cons this year, I looked at it as a whole, and I'm looking at next year already and looking at the costumes I want to do, and I'm now focusing more on quality versus quantity. I have a list of costumes I want to do that I love. So when my approach to cosplay and cons in general, I want to do cosplays that are characters that, are my favorite. I love Cyclops. I love Jubilee. I love Pink Ranger. I love DC Comics. So I love Damian Wayne. I love Nightwing. So all of these characters that I relate to or I admire, and I love reading about them in comics or watching them in shows and movies, I want to cosplay them. So I plan it out from, beginning to finish, what materials I need, where I'm going to get the costume, how I'm going to make it, if I need assistance in it, like, I need help sewing, or I need someone to help me print something certain, or I need certain paints that I need to order ahead of time because it might take weeks because of, the pandemic. I look at the cons and I look at my costumes and I figure out, what costumes can I wear multiple times? What is going to be more doable? How much time do I have? I look at that. But my number one thing is making sure the cosplays I do are characters that I really love and enjoy, because sometimes, people in cosplay, like me, that was me before, where it's like, oh, I have all this, sometimes there's stress and there's like, I need to have like 30 cosplays. I now look at it as, making sure the costume and the character is quality. Do I want to spend money on this, character that's like, $50 more, or go the cheaper route that is like, $20? I'd rather spend it more expensive in that route, just because, even though it's going to take time, I rather, present my favorite characters when it's time to debut.
That's great. And you want to have that connection. You want to make sure it fits, because sometimes we have to bring in fits in terms of the resources that you have.
Exactly.
And because we sometimes have to like curtail, like, man, I want to do this. I could do this. This would be really cool. And it's like, all right, in reality land, how do we do this?
Exactly. I have a group chat with my friends, and we're just like, oh man, we have like millions and thousands of cosplay ideas. Like this year, I'm like, oh, I have like 10 cosplay ideas, but realistically, what can I do within the time frame that I'm gonna shoot cosplays at cons or outside of cons at meetups or location shoots? I look at it that, but also I'm like, oh man, I want to do all these costumes, and we're all excited because, we want to show off our skill set, we want to show off our favorite characters, but yeah, it's a roller coaster of a ride, because you're having fun, but of course the resources, you got to make sure you have time to get a certain amount of resources to make the character presentable.
Yeah, it's balancing. I'm an adult now with, man, this is going to be great.
Exactly. I'm like, oh man, I got to pay this off. Wait, I also need to pay this for my costume. Let's balance that out.
Where's that rent? Oh, right. Over there in my latex. So from your standpoint, and I know we're in Revenge of the Con, right? Why is attending events integral to that fandom experience? And I definitely look at, just feeling really, really full. When I go to any of these conventions, I learn something. I'm around people. I've networked more in the last few years about collaborations and things. And I get those recommendations, sometimes unsolicited. This is an anime you got to watch. So tell me about why attending events such as like AwesomeCon, BlurCon, and such are integral to that fandom experience.
For me, I just love seeing what panels and what other cosplayers that I haven't met or I'm friends with already. I want to see what they're wearing to these cons. Like with AwesomeCon, it's their comic book and superhero focus. There's some anime, but I'm there for like the comic book stuff, and I'm there for the panels. I'm there to see like the new costumes, because with Katsucon, for example, they're more anime based, and my cosplays are more comic book based. Like I do love anime, but if I have to choose, my love for Marvel and Star Wars and DC and Disney is like crazy. So when I go to like cons, like Awesome Con, I'm like, okay, what panels are happening? Like, are there any workshops? Like, I wonder what, other friends who I've never met yet and I'm only friends on social media. I wonder if they're going, what's their lineup? Can we coordinate cosplays? And then like right now, like my group chat with my squad, we're like, okay, so we're rolling in at Thursday to set up. Like Friday, it's going to be Marvel cosplays because I'm doing a Marvel meetup. Saturday, we're going to do DC cosplays. And then Sunday is a free-for-all. Like anyone can wear anything. Like, are you going to wear Disney? You're going to do DC again, Marvel, Star Wars, anything like that. So it's just important just to go to these cons because, you feel appreciated in your costume, but also the programming is like amazing because there's different creators hosting events at Comic Cons and, conventions. And it's great to connect with them. And also, your love for the fandom grows because you learn new things.
Yeah. What one of the one of the things that I really like, thinking about like the free fall, right? One of the things I really like is, I don't know if you watch like any movies that they have that, I can't believe you wore that. I'm wearing the same outfit. Have you ever run into that? Like when someone is like inevitably wearing like the same really obscure Cyclops costume. It's like, look, I know that where you saw that, it was an issue, whatever. I'm doing the same thing. How dare you wear my costume cosplay?
I haven't experienced it myself. It's funny though because when I wear Cyclops, I get like more like remarks. They're like, "Why is he your favorite character?" And I'm just like, "Leave me alone. He is my favorite character." But I've seen like where the Spider-Man meme where it's like everybody's wearing the same Spider-Man costume and they're just like pointing at each other like, "Hey, you got the same costume? I got the same costume. Where'd you get yours? I got mine on this website." It's like, dang it, I wish I got mine on that website because your red looks different than my red. It's just like, it's funny to see that interaction. But it is riding the trend too. When the Black Widow movie came out, everybody did Black Widow. There's like lots of Harley Quinns, lots of Jokers, and it's funny when I see the same costume because I usually see people doing different variations, but when they do the same one, it's hilarious because we all have like different our own take on our costumes. So seeing like the memes and people reenacting like different memes or saying that they're twinning and stuff, it's like funny.
No, it's great to see, and I can speak from like personal experience, and now being able to connect with you in a version of real life. This is electronic, but in real life, I've seen your Cyclops, I've seen some of your Star Wars stuff. All of your stuff is fire, and
Thanks.
shout out to you, shout out to you.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's funny though, like when people say like, "Oh, I love your Cyclops," I'm like, "Yay, I'm glad," because like people are like, "The costume is great," and they're like, "But the character," and I'm like, you know what? Let's not have this argument.
Yeah, it's like, look, man, Cyclops is right. Moving on.
Yes.
Could you share one piece of advice, a big piece of advice that like you would share to someone who's interested in like dipping a toe or diving into cosplay?
My biggest advice I always tell people is cosplay a character that you relate to and that you are interested in and love. Because even though, we're all nerds, we're all geeks, and we all want to get into cosplay. Like, there's that aspect where like, okay, I'm a comic book collector. Oh, I love drawing, but I also want to like dip my toes into like cosplay because, you have a favorite character and you want to invest in it. So that's my biggest advice is, pick a character that you relate to and you love and research about it, ask friends, look on YouTube and cosplay that character because that's your first character you're cosplaying. You want to make sure you have the right resources and you want to make sure it's a character that you relate to and love because there is peer pressure for others where it's like, hey, cosplay this character or cosplay this. And, sometimes you might want to do it, but as a first person getting into cosplay, you want to spend money and time on a character that you actually like relate to and love.
Yeah, that's legit. It's part of the cost or what have you.
It's your money.
Yeah,
It's your money you're spending. It's not other people's money. So it's like, okay, I'm going to spend maybe approximately $200 on this costume. I'm going to cosplay a character I actually love. Like, why am I cosplaying this character because it's trending? Or why am I cosplaying this character because someone told me to do it? I want to do someone that I actually relate to and I really admire.
Yeah, and I think it's even the cost outside of the financial component. Like I'll talk to chefs on here. I'll talk to people who are just doing certain things that you're not gonna like. You're not gonna get rich off of it immediately, and you're the one that's out, potentially sewing this late. You're the one that's waiting for this order and following up. You're the one that's bearing the burden that comes along with this creative practice and this pursuit. So, to your point, do something that resonates with you. Do something that you like. It's like, cool, if you want to dress like Sailor Moon, spin it, do it. But if it's not your thing and you just happen to have blonde hair and it's trending, just say, just recognize that, I think.
Yep, exactly.
Describe one thing that the cosplaying community can do better when it comes to dealing with each other. And what's one thing that you think it does really well, like the cosplay community does really well, something that it can improve upon?
Cool. I'll go with the first one first. So what we can do better, I think, as cosplayers, we need to not gatekeep characters. There's still, like, even non-cosplayers or people in the community that don't cosplay, but they gatekeep. But they're still part of the cosplay community because whether they're photographers or, digital creators, whatnot. Don't gatekeep the characters because of race or body shape or how you look. You can cosplay whoever you want. Like, it's your money. it's your favorite fandom. It's your favorite character. If you like a super villain, then so be it. But gatekeeping is like the worst. I think it's the worst because I've had experience in that. It's like, oh, you're a girl, you can't cosplay this. Oh, you're Asian, you should cosplay this. Oh, you're this height, you should cosplay this. It's like, no, like, you do whatever you want. If you want to cosplay a character that's like 6 feet tall, then do it. I'm 5'2", I'm a woman, I'm Asian. I cosplay whoever I want. I cosplay Cyclops. I cosplay Nightwing. I cosplay, Robin. And I also cosplay Jubilee, who's, like perfect for me too. So there's a lot of versatility that you can do whatever you want. So the gatekeeping needs to be more, needs to be dropped from the community. The thing that we do the best in cosplay is actually being open arms with new people who want to cosplay, having events, having different communities. We have a lot of social media that can welcome new people. You have Discord, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have TikTok. Like with me, I is a perfect example. I have a Facebook group and I have a Discord that is Shady Squad. And what I do in that group is I host events like in the DMV area. I just hosted a lantern corps event where it's like, you can be Green Lantern, Blue Lantern, Yellow Lantern, all of that in the spectrum. And then I'm also hosting like a pride photo shoot in June. So having these communities like in different states, different like platforms on social media is perfect because whether you're new or you're a current member or you're, older and you're looking to join a community, there's a ton. It's like thousands. So I think that's what we do best. And, we keep each other accountable. We keep each other safe. If there's something, someone or something that's like dangerous or negative or toxic, we bring that forward so we can either talk about it or fix it or solve it. But I think the cosplay community is always great with welcoming new people.
That's great to hear. I think when these different communities are emerging but still like considered fringe in some pockets, it's important to be able to have that kind of self-regulatory sort of thing that happens while acknowledging like these are concerns and these are challenges that we face. But I think blowing things out. Like I remember the whole cosplay is not consent thing, and that's been prevalent. I remember something happened in like last year at a convention, and the race thing was there. But I think that was the minority. People were like, "Nah, we're not with that. We don't. This is for fun and fandom and safety and inclusivity."
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing too. Is cosplay is not consent. When you're working with someone new, like a photographer, videographer, another cosplayer, you have to be respectful of each other's space. And you have to ask for permission. It is not like, oh, I can do whatever I want. No, it is not like that. Same thing with gatekeeping. You know, people want to say like, oh, this fandom is better, or I know better than you, or oh, this cosplayer looks better than your cosplay. Like, it's just, or you can't do this character because you don't look like the character. It's like very toxic and very gatekeeping that we need to like go away from, because, you know, anyone can cosplay Nightwing, and there's different body shapes, there's different races, there's different variations of the character that you can do.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I think when Spider-Man appeared in Civil War, I got into a back and forth with a DJ that I at one point respected. You know, my lane is podcasting, and he was one of the reasons I kind of got into it. And you know, I learned later that he had some issues with Black folks and their, you know, take on comics. And it just resonated then. I was like, oh, this is why you had some smoke for me. Like, basically that my assessment of the of my assessment in fandom of that particular character was somehow trumped by what his thoughts were on it. But his take was really odd. And it was just like, all right. Spider-Man's eyes are like this in these comics. What are you saying to me?
You'll meet people like that. It's very interesting when you have to engage in conversation or in an argument. You'll see if they'll take the critique in a mature way or not in a mature way.
Yeah, and it happens, and you know, there's things in fandom. It's like, great, I appreciate you guys are here, but you know, just kind of let that go. And there is a really big toxic part of fandom, but I noticed that as we bring in more people that are of color and that have diverse backgrounds or what have you, bringing in the queer community and having it that, no, we're here. We're not here, you know, we're here as fans, and, you know, we're a part of this. That's important. And I think it will shift some of these things. So this is the last real question I got for you. And this is actually kind of fun. Do you incorporate cosplay into your everyday attire, like your work attire? If so, how?
Sometimes I work from home, but if I'm going into the office or I have like a meeting or I want to, you know, connect with someone, sometimes I, you know, Disney bound it. When they call it Disney bound, but Marvel bound, DC bound, you're like, okay, I'm gonna wear all black, have a little blue, so it's like a Nightwing vibe. I'm gonna do like red and yellow, so it's like a Winnie the Pooh vibe. So yes, I do. I think it's fun, and it's like, you know, it's like casual cosplay. So you can also, like, you know, people are like looking to create more content. Well, there you go, casual cosplay. You can post that too, because you're color blocking, you know, monochroming the same outfit with your favorite characters.
That's great. I've actually done that in situations as well. Like I went a little too far one time where I may have put on eyeliner and went to the office. They're like, "You all right?" I say, just fighting crime this weekend is good. So that's it with the real questions. But now I have a few rapid fire questions for you. These are always fun. They're always, you know, kind of wild. I'm going to start off with, and remember, I answer these as quickly as you can. First thing that comes to mind.
Sure.
Onion rings or French fries?
No, I got to be fast.
Onion rings or French fries?
French fries.
Okay. You're winning so far. The hashtag that best describes you?
Charming.
Okay. To date, for you, what has been your most challenging cosplay?
Most challenging cosplay, I would say, is Cyclops.
Okay. This is why Cyclops has been mentioned so much. It's like, look, it's hard.
It is hard. Oh gosh.
Which character have you cosplayed that you relate to on like what's that you relate to most on a personal level?
Superboy.
Okay. Lastly, when you're down, when it's like, and you seem like a very upbeat, cartoonish individual. You have good energy coming off you, so I like it. But when you're down, what is your go-to cartoon to watch that definitely cheers you up?
That cheers me up? Goofy movie.
Nice. That is the best answer.
I watch that a lot. Let me tell you, I watch it a lot. Like, I think I've seen it thousands of times. am a huge Disney fanatic, and I'm trying to incorporate a lot of Disney bounding, Disney cosplays to my resume too. But I love Disney. Like my top 5 favorite movies, like not in order, is Tarzan, A Goofy Movie, Hercules, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and what was the last one? Oh God, Aladdin. Sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, those.
Okay.
I can watch all 5 on repeat and I don't get tired of it. But A Goofy Movie, I watched so many times. Also, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Those 2 are interchangeably, like, I watch all the time. Like, oh, I'm working on some content. Let me put that movie on. Or, oh, I'm lazy today. I just want to, like, sit in bed. I don't want to binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. I'm just going to watch A Goofy Movie. So it's my go-to movie. And I always reenact, like, the songs, the dance, the lines from the movie. Like, I'm just, like, trying to do some voice acting. But I love it. Max Goof is like someone I relate to as well. He's a dork.
You're going to end up having us both do a Powerline cosplay. It's going to be amazing.
That is on my list, but not Powerline. I want to cosplay Max Goof as Powerline. I've cosplayed Max Goof, but I want to cosplay him as Powerline. So that's a goal of mine to cosplay this summer. Hopefully I can have it for BlurredCon because I'm thinking of going for a day because I have family visiting from Cali. But he is on my list.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this because, I mean, I have a theory that some of those Disney like theme songs back in the early to mid 90s were just New Jack Swing songs. They were really black and I love them.
Exactly. Oh, I agree. And I love them. I love them, every single one.
You put those songs on, shut the club down.
Yeah, I have a Disney playlist on my phone, and when I'm crafting and I'm not watching a movie, like, I listen to the music. When I'm working out, I listen to my Disney playlist, and Eye to Eye is on there, of course. And even On the Open Road from the Goofy Movie, and After Today. So I have a lot of the songs from a Goofy Movie on my phone because it is a musical movie. So sometimes I'm like, different voices for all the characters when I'm singing. So it's fun.
This is great. So with that being said, I want to thank you for coming onto the podcast. And
thank you for having me.
And 2, I want to invite you and encourage you to tell the fine folks where they can check you out, your social media, all of that good stuff, and where they can check you out in person soon.
Sure. So for social media, everyone can follow me on Instagram at @ShadyHaze. When you go on Instagram and you search that, the link in my bio has all my socials. So TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, the Facebook group too. If you want to join, if you're a DMV local and want to join my meetups, come through. We welcome everyone and anyone. And there's always different themes every month or every other month. So join that. And for cons, I'll be at Awesome Con this weekend, Friday to Sunday. I'll be wearing Superboy and Jubilee and I think Blue Lantern, but we'll see how I feel on Sunday when I'm exhausted and conned out. But I'll be at Awesome Con. I think I'm going to be at BlurredCon for a day. I'll be at Baltimore Comic Con because I want to see Jim Lee. And I might go to some out-of-state cons. So I'll be at D23 actually as well. So I'll be there in Cali. I'm excited because I got to figure out what cosplays I'm wearing for that convention, which I'm going to be busy crafting for. So thank you guys again for having me. Thank you for having me, and everyone listening. Thank you.
So there you have it, folks. I want to again thank the great Shady Haze for coming onto the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee saying that there is art, creativity, cosplaying in and around your city. You just got to look for it.